dime lo que tú quieres de mi coqueta. Sé lo que te gusta es salir y se suelta. Cuando baila reggaetón pa' mí que muñeca. Me gusta salir y seducir.
We're live. Welcome back to Mescal Moments. It's your boy, the one with the SkarxFace, your boy SkarxFace, and today I'm with the co-host again, Jon.
What's up, guys?
And we're back at it again, which is exciting because, I mean, we're recording this before. Obviously, we always pre-record everything, but we're on our way to Texas tomorrow. It's going to be fun. But anyways, this episode is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You know, I love it because it's a subscription-based box. Whenever you need razors, hair care, skincare, you name it, you can put it all into one box and then have it shipped to you monthly. And it's cool because sometimes you do forget.
Yeah.
And like before you know it, they send it to you. And then, or if you feel like you're getting too much stuff and you're not using it as much, you can put a pause for 1 month and then it'll start right back the next month. So it's really cool. You don't have to cancel it. You can just like pause it for a little bit, which I love. I still use to this day. So if you guys haven't checked them out, you know, click the link down below. You know, go support them. You supporting them supports us on the podcast too as well. So, also, this episode is brought to you by Chunky Chicanos. I was talking, you know, with some people, and they're like super close. There's like little fine details that we're trying to figure out still, but those are coming soon. And you know, check them out. You know,
it's gonna be a sick collection for sure.
It's that, and especially you know, listen to the previous episode with Kenneth Suna. You know, shout out to Kenneth. Thank you for jumping on. He does like day trading, investing, you name it, and he's also pretty big on TikTok. And so, you know, it was a really good episode, you know, and very informative. And then that was the second time he was on. The first time is like if you're a beginner starting to learn about investing. So, you know, go and check those out. But today, you know, obviously you just see Jon and I here, you know, and it's cool because sometimes we get to bring up some of these topics or random topics.
And it's cool because now they see video, but sometimes we have to like kind of do like a filler because we have like a lot of things going on. We'd just be sitting, me and you, and since it's empty, it's like kind of weird seeing the office now. It's like empty. It's literally these chairs and a couple frames in the back.
You guys see all this behind us. If you guys aren't checking it out on Spotify, you can watch the video there.
Yeah.
Or you can go over to YouTube, follow us there, and you can watch the video there as well too. But literally, what you see behind us is all that's left in the office.
You're used to like seeing like a bunch of stuff like packed in here. Now it's like empty.
And we got we're building something over, you know, I don't want to like explain everything that we're doing right now, but over at the new studio, you know, I'm building something right there. And we were taking some of the stuff that we're going to use to build over there. You know, I had to pick it up today or else who knows, did they cancel your order or something?
I don't know. Do they make you pay now or?
Oh, I had to pay as soon as I wanted them. So.
Oh, then probably just hold them for you.
You even past the date they gave you?
Yeah, imagine. Who
Who knows? But anyways, we're excited for that. Probably around June or July, you'll see the new studio set up in the new spot. So until then, you get to stick with us here, or just follow our Instagrams as well too down below. You'll be able to see. You know, updates and things like that. So it's really cool. Everything is linked down below. So, you know, check us out. But today I actually wanted to talk on a few things just because I feel like it's kind of relevant. I mean, for most people, and I know I used to struggle with things like this, and I know people are struggling now, is worrying about what other people think. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a big thing. And it's funny because I'm reading this book right now. It's How to Go Fuck Yourself, I think it's called.
I've seen you post that.
You know, so it's a really good book. I'm obviously listening to it, but a lot of the topics on there reminds me of how I used to be. And then I could still see some like factor. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I do that. You know, and it sucks because a lot of the times we hold ourselves back from doing things because we're afraid what people are going to think. People are going to think if we fail, if we try something new. But I think it's something we need to, you know, address just because I know people are struggling with it. I still struggle with it in a few areas here and there. But so we'll go back to when I actually cared what people thought, like not just my how like people saw me as a person, you know, things like that. You know, I want people to think I'm this way or this way, so you're trying to please a bunch of different people, and it ends up being to me at that time, I felt like I wasn't me. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I think a lot, if not everybody, goes through that like path that you don't realize. Maybe you don't even realize at the moment, but maybe you do. But you see that down the road for sure. That you're like, that wasn't me, and now like now you feel that this is you. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I would feel like, oh, I want people to think I'm this way. People, you know, it became almost like a job being somebody that you weren't. You know, you're worrying about what people think. And like, for example, I want you to sit here and like actually think about like if you're like, oh, I can't post that because I'm afraid someone's gonna say this.
Oh yeah.
I can't do this because I'm afraid someone's gonna say this.
It's kind of funny because I see Jerry all the time. He's like, I don't want to post that because I don't. I'm like, dude, just post it. Like,
Yeah.
Or on the story, he's like, I know. I see this a lot in girls, not just in Jerry, but in girls that they'll take like 1,000 pictures and they'll go through and like, I don't like any of them. I'm like, you look fine in every single one of them.
And you're
just post it. Like
the one they finally choose is like the same as all the rest.
All of the other ones. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but I feel like same. Like I don't even know how to explain it. I feel like we all feel that we know what we mean, but you kind of run into that like, I still don't want to.
Yeah, because I think that's a big one right now is appearance.
Yeah,
is appearance because people want to be, and I blame TV shows, movies, because everyone always assumes that you have to look like this in order to like be. I don't know if you're trying to look hot for people or trying to like
impress or kind of fit in. It's kind of funny because I see it now in clothes. Like I know you've spoken before on some earlier episodes, but I see my brother. He's a teenager, so he's still in high school, and he's like, everything is about what you wear, and he rolls up with his shoes all the time. And he's spending like a lot of money on shoes, and I tell him like, dude, down the road nobody's gonna care. Once you're out of high school, nobody's gonna care what you're wearing on your feet. Like the minute I hit college was when I realized that I was with a bunch of people that are just trying to make it in life. That everybody's struggling.
Yeah.
You know? Nobody's trying to impress anybody in the class and trying to see like, oh, that guy makes money or like, you know what I mean?
And it's cool because I try to tell people, you know, I put it this way, like no girl is gonna come up to you and be like, oh dang, you spent $100 on this t-shirt. You know, here's my number.
Yes.
You know, no one's like, guys, we need to get that out of our head because I was like that before.
Yeah.
I would go and buy the most expensive. Oh, that's a $70 t-shirt right there. I'm gonna buy that because girls are gonna be like, oh dang, like this dude's rolling in cash, you know. But trust me, the one, if they actually care about what you're wearing, be like, oh wow, where'd you get this? Walmart. You know, like if you run into somebody like that, you know, that's way
unless like shoe wise. If you run into another guy that's into shoes, you're like, dude, those are cool. Like, well, you know?
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Most guys buy shoes because they think they're going to impress girls. Like, we do a lot. I mean, I'm fault to it. Like, I've done it before. I buy stuff just because I wanted to impress the ladies, you know? And it really doesn't because... Say I have a pair of Jordan 1s that are like, I have this one pair right now. I paid retail for it, but right now if you want to go on StockX or something, they're like $700. But if I show up with those and you show up with the other version, other colorway that's a little bit cheaper, no one's gonna be like, oh shit, you know, I'm gonna go with him because he has the more expensive Jordans. You know, like trust me, these ladies don't care what kind. As long as you're clean, you're a hard worker. You know, you got some personality. That's all you really need. Like it's funny how you start to realize that's all you really need. And when I started to figure that out, I started. It's weird. It's hard to explain to people. It was like a weird shift.
Yeah.
Like I was worried so much about what people thought and like trying to impress the ladies and this is like all sorts of stuff. Until one day I just realized, you know, I was like, I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to do things that like I think that make me happy, the stuff that I want to wear, the stuff, you know, and that was like a huge like stress off my shoulders. You know, it was weird how it worked. Like, I'm like, dang, this is like.
I don't know about you, but like I told you, like mine was kind of out of high school. That once I started going to college and everybody in my class was way older than me. Either been like my parents or my grandparents, you know, they're like, and nobody cared what I was wearing. Like, you know, when you're like, oh, first day of school, I'm wearing brand new kicks, like brand new clothes.
Yeah.
Like, same thing in college, rolled up. Nobody, like normal people, like literally normal people. And it's kind of funny because I feel school has to do a lot with it.
Yeah, you're trying to like be that guy, you know.
For us was at least in high school, like the cool kids always wear like Vans, or they wear like khaki pants from Paxson, and they always wore like, I don't know. For us was kind of like, depending on like what year it went, but at the beginning it was like kind of Volcom, or like anything from Zoomies or Paxson was the style, kind of like that skateboard. And it's kind of funny because Cosa, we always gave him crap.
Shout out to Cosa.
Yeah, shout out to Cosa. He would wear these like they were Levi's, if I remember right, but they were like imitation of Vans. And we're like, oh, we would, but it was just playing around. It was never like, oh, dude, but it was funny because he always wore those type of shoes. He's like, well, I got them at Ross. And we're like, dude, they're just like, we're just messing with him. But he didn't like, to this day, he doesn't care what he wears. But it was funny because for us, like, oh, Vans, like, oh. And
Like, it has to be a certain style.
Yeah. And then he rolls up with the same looking shoe, but it's the Levi's. And you're like, well, we would just give him crap. But like you said, nobody's going to notice unless you're literally like paying attention, or who even cares, you know? Now I buy the same shoe, I wear it until it's done, and then I buy the same shoe again and I really don't care now. But back then, like, yeah, I had like all kinds of type of colorways and like Vans. And
I am going to call him out on one little thing because John obviously knows that I don't give a shit like what I wear, who sees me. The other day we were rolling around in cowboy hats when we went to go buy them. And John took his off because I know he felt like some type of way, like someone's going to say. No one said anything to me, right?
Yeah, no.
No one probably even batted an eye that I was wearing that hat.
Yeah.
Because you see it and you're like, huh?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
And people are too afraid to do that. You know what I mean? Like, they're too afraid to be a little uncomfortable. Like, me, I was like, man, if I see someone that I know, they're probably going to be like, oh, dude, like, badass hat, you know? They're not going to be like, see me, and then after they leave, they're going to be like, yo, you should have seen Edgar right now. That dude was wearing a cowboy. You know, like, we need to get those, like, that mindset out of our head because that usually stops people from starting a business. You know, doing something, even getting into the gym. You know, some people feel like they're going to be judged. Just a FYI, people who are lifting, people who are, like, who go all the time, they're not going to be making fun of you. Trust me, like, people walk by you all the time, and I've never been like, oh, dang, like, what is that guy doing here? Obviously, we're all in the same, like, we're all trying to do the same thing, you know.
And you still help me on the assisted dips. It's kind of funny, but I don't really care, you know. And it's funny because you do kind of go in like mentality, like, oh crap, they're probably staring at me. But once you start going, like, nobody cares.
You realize that nobody cares. Like, nobody's, unless you're doing something very out of the box, then people are going. Because I remember, I mean, every now and then we go. It could be some sort of workout, but it's not normal to see. Some dude is doing some balancing thing on one of the machines, and his feet are all up in the air, and you're just like, what is he doing? But then you also start to think about like how much strength that probably takes to hold himself up.
Or it's the guy like yelling, hitting the punching bag.
Oh,
pipe down on the yelling a little bit.
Yeah, see, it's like little things like that will make
that are weird in general, not weird as in like, oh, he's hitting a punching bag, but it's like, what is he doing?
Yeah, because like, say you're hitting the punching bag, right? And you're sitting there working out, and then you're barely getting started. So you'll hear the punching bag. You'll be like, "Oh shit, someone's hitting something." Oh, he's hitting the punching bag. Yeah, and then you just look back.
If someone's running hard on the treadmill, usually people don't really turn because they know it's a treadmill. Yeah. So it's kind of like that thing, and it's kind of funny. What those habits kind of like roll into, like you said, they roll into you stop doing things. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm not as bad as I used to be. I would hate going even to church because I was like worried about what people were going to think what I was wearing when I was younger. And like we said, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But now it kind of relates to even this. Well, I don't know how you felt at the beginning, but when I started like vlogging, I really was like hesitant on like even showing my face and like.
And not just that, you also most people, if you notice that they'll try to vlog in private because they don't.
Yeah.
They're too. They're gonna be like, oh, they're judging me because I'm recording
And
myself.
even that's a weird thing. Like here, it's a weird thing. I imagine like bigger cities, it's not as bad. But as over time went, even all my friends and all my friends' family, like, oh, there's like he brought the camera. It was normal. Like,
Yeah.
It got to a point it was, and then I don't do it anymore. But it got to a point it was so normal. They're like, ¿Y la cámara? Like,
Yeah.
where's the camera at? And it goes into that you have to lose fear to be able to do something. And
Yeah, and Will Smith says it perfectly. His is one of the videos that I watched quite a bit, and he quotes it differently, but I like to follow it. It's like there's like on the other side of fear, there's like beauty, right? And meaning that we're too afraid to do something, but if you're willing to get past that fear, the other side is just like this. Because right now, like for example, I tell him all the time. I tell Jesus. Not a lot of people know that moving studios stresses me out, makes me nervous, like makes me scared, just because it's obviously a way bigger venture, like
it's a
bigger step. But then I also had that nervousness and that kind of anxiety moving into this spot. And now look, I'm moving into a bigger spot.
You're like,
Yeah, so that's why when people always want to start something, but they don't want to start it because they don't want to fail. You know what I mean? Like, and people will think they failed right away. For example, if you start a YouTube channel, your first video might get a lot of views. I always tell this to people, even with podcasts, it might get a lot of views, a lot of listens, just because it's your first episode. And there's always that thing that people are always curious of what you're up to. So they'll watch it, they'll listen to it, whatever the case may be, and then the numbers go down.
Yeah.
Just because they're like, okay, like they're gonna judge your work and things like that. But as long as you get past that, because say we start a podcast, right? Say we never did this, we start a podcast, but we have like shitty audio. They're gonna tune into it and be like, they got shitty audio. That's not gonna go. They always try to. But then there's the people who support you as well too. But we're always scared of that. We're always scared of being judged, being criticized, and we just need to break that fear, because I'm not perfect. I'm saying like I still have those like feelings sometimes.
Yeah.
But I know I'm like, I need to get that shit out of my head. I need to,
And right now, I know whoever watches on YouTube or Spotify, like we're working on the video. It's just hard because we don't have a set place right now.
Yeah, like we don't have a set place, and then
once we get it, it's gonna.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, we want to build something nice. That way, it's visually pleasing.
Audio is there. I think content's there. Sometimes like we preach it all the time. It's hard to get a banging episode every time. Like we try the best we can, and it's like a longevity thing.
But the cool thing is the feedback that we get is that we are providing good content. They're like, I really like that episode. And me, I like it when we get it when we don't have guests too, because
if we have like, let's say, I don't know, just an example, 10 people, and we release one episode, maybe we don't cater to all those 10 people, but maybe 2 or 3 like this episode. Maybe the next episode, 2 or 3 people like that episode. And it's like, just like music, you release an album and to someone, they're like, dude, that's the best album in the world. And I was like, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, because it's funny. Some of them sit really differently with people. And I like how you brought that up, because I remember when we had Lily, shout out to Lily, Julio's fiance. She's a dental hygienist. So we were talking about a lot about dental hygienist stuff, about cleaning your teeth, this and that, all sorts of stuff. And I know someone who like came up to me and he was like, dude, that episode was so good, and I was like, oh dang, I appreciate you listening to it and you liked it. But he's like, yeah, that was like one of my favorites, because I guess that's like a field that to me, it seemed like he was super interested in, and I wanted him to keep pushing for that. Like maybe listening to something like this you're gonna find something that you're like, oh, I want to dabble into that. And then listen. Then you get to listen to how this person got started, how hard it was, because nothing is easy. People think this is easy. The reason we're here today is what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday, and we're recording an episode that's coming out next Monday.
So we don't leave anybody hanging.
Yeah, because, we already missed the other day because we were just in the transition of moving this, like all the other stuff that you guys don't see, we were moving it over there, and it just... I was painting, fixing up over there, cleaning up over there, and so it was kind of hard to do an episode. So, and then on top of that, we still do the media stuff. Like we're just all over the place. But don't get us wrong. This is a priority to us.
It definitely is.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people that are listening right now, if you want to try something, doesn't matter what it's going to be. Most of these millionaires, that's why I like this book, because it explains a lot of these things. A lot of these millionaires, a lot of these billionaires, they didn't just one day. I mean, there's a few, they get lucky, but they start a software company, of course, that blows up. But other people who have like random businesses or a business that finally works, they probably failed shitload of times.
And it's good to fail.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of different ventures that people go on that obviously they probably didn't work. So you know what?
We'd all be successful. It'd be impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people let those failures get them down, or they don't even get a chance to start something because they're too afraid to even start anything. And don't get me wrong, it's scary. You start doubting yourself because you're like, say you're looking to get into photography, right? There's who knows how many photographers, but then that also takes away the motivation to some people. They'll start getting frustrated. They'll be or nervous. They're like, there's already too many.
You kind of dabble in the range of the scenario. For example, like we can just go off of the photography thing. You have someone that's been doing photography maybe for a company for, I don't know, years, and they don't dabble in their own business because they're scared. But as long as you have passion, you're good at what you're doing, and it will take time. No matter what you do, it'll take time. Like you said, you do get lucky situations that
if you
do
make it something
overnight, and you're just. But it's realistically, it's going to take time. Now you have the other situation is like, okay, you're not good at it, and then you can even like split into two. You're not good at it, but you're willing to work on it and ride that whole wave out and struggle with it because it's hard. Anything you do is hard. Like you said, if everything was easy, nothing in life would be hard. Like it just couldn't be able. So, if you're passionate and you're willing to work it through it and run it out, it'll eventually work out. Everything works out,
Yeah, and like you said, we had a whole episode on it on consistency. It's a huge thing. That's why we were here today recording an episode, because we didn't want to miss another week. And people love the video too. So like on Spotify, which is cool. Like showing up on Spotify too. So that's why we're here. We're consistent. We're trying to be consistent with you, and also not just coming here and do no random episode. Just be like, oh well, how was your day? We're trying to things that we struggle with, and that's why I like to bring up topics like this, just because I know I've struggled with it and I still struggle with it, and I'm sure you struggle in certain areas too with it. And someone listening, they'll be like, oh shit, yeah, like that's kind of true. Like I'm too afraid to start something, and a lot of people will wait and wait and wait, thinking that something is gonna come save them. Like someone's gonna come and hand them a business. Someone's gonna come and like hand them overnight success. But that's not the case. Like, if you work a normal job, like say you work at a desk job, retail store, you name it, sales, whatever the case may be, and you're not happy doing that, then that means after you get off of work, you have to put in the work. Whatever the case may be, in learning the new skill set, learning how to do something differently. Like if you're looking to get into lashes, studying that, taking the courses. Or cosmetology, you name it, barber, you have to put in the work after your regular job. Because what do a lot of people do? They get off of work, they go home, maybe watch Netflix, eat, hang out, sit around for like an hour or two. People have been guilty of it. Like if you're listening to this, you've been guilty of it. Some days I take rest, but for the most part, I pride myself that I'm no longer like that. Like, we'll go to Tops, and then after the Tops, we'll go to the gym. After the gym, I edit stuff. After that, it's already late. Next day, do it all over. Weekends, I'm always like doing something. I'm always busy.
It's kind of funny. I was telling you this weekend, we had like everything planned out, and I was like, dude, it's probably one of the craziest weekends I've ever had, and I'm not used to that, But like, some things just don't work out the way you want to, but you have to figure it out.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, I'm glad you bring that up, because sometimes we do get busy, like with life afterwards. Say you're a parent or whatever the case may be, but at the same time, like I mentioned, no one is going to come and save you. Yes, life happens a few days, which is cool.
Yeah.
totally fine. But trust me, life doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
Like, in life, what I mean is like, you have to go help a parent. You have to go and do stuff like that. Like, help them out, or like the kids have this.
We
you
all
have
have
to go attend.
disposable time for sure.
Of course, just think about it. How long do you? I hear people sometimes like, "Oh, I binge watched that show." Okay, you could have been doing a bunch of stuff instead of binge watching.
Or
that
it's
show.
okay, binge watching like we talking about Yellowstone.
Yeah,
it was
see,
good, but then you still. It's not like, okay, here's the next one. Let me binge watch this one, and then the next one, and then
and the reason I binge watched that was because, one, I'm limited to time.
Yeah.
And during that time that I was watching it, I didn't have a lot of stuff booked just because I did that on purpose. So I took most of December and some of January
you didn't
off.
do it mid event season,
Oh, no.
knowing that you have 10 things to do.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's still okay. Like, it's okay to have a normal life. But if you're willing to go to that extra level to do something, and I think the most important thing, I hope someone's listening, is that they're dabbling in the idea like, I hate what I'm doing, but I like to do this, but I just don't know. You know?
Hear it all the time.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm just gonna throw her under the bus, but Jerry, my fiance, I tell her, I'm like, you don't have any hobbies, do you? She's like, no, like I don't. And I'm like, why? Have you ever wanted to do this? And she's like, no. And I'm like, what about this? And like, no. And she's like, I just like to help people. And I'm like, that's great. You get people that like, they're just good at doing that, and that's good. And I kind of talked to you about dabbling in this other thing, but I'm like, that's going to be all her. Like, you have to like sometimes guide people, and you might have to rely on other people to like figure something out. And if it works, it works, like, but a lot of people just.
It's cool that you bring her up because like she's been around like on some of the stuff that we've been doing, like we went to the waterfront and things like that. She's a really good people person. Like, she knows how to talk with people. She knows how to like help people.
Yeah.
And it's cool because what we're doing over here is like essentially we're starting to build like a little team. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to start doing different events, helping like different companies and things like that. But you got to put the right people in there. And Jerry has a lot of potential. Yeah. She has a lot of potential. She just needs someone to help, like,
exactly,
pull that out. And that's one thing that I do like that people think about me is like, I had a conversation with someone who, I shot over the weekend. And what I shot is like photo shoot. And like we had a photo shoot and
clarify that.
Yeah. Because some people, they're like, what do you mean you shot somebody?
Yeah.
But I want people to benefit from my conversation. Like, yeah, of course we can mess around. Like, we'll say some stupid shit every now and then. But most of the time, 90% of the time, I want you to leave with some sort of like motivation, being inspired, even like whatever the case may be. Like, he was telling me like what he wants to do. And I was telling him what he's doing right. A lot of people don't want to go through the schooling, don't want to put in that hard work. He says right now he doesn't have a social life. Just because, he has a little bit of a social life, but most of the time he dedicates to what he's trying to do. And of course he works his full-time job because he has bills to pay. And I think that's where a lot of people don't want to invest that time because it's not going to happen overnight.
I think you could probably just tell me what you think, but the party life is awesome. It's fun, but not forever.
Yeah, not every weekend.
Yeah, get it out of your system if you can. Like, it's awesome. Like, I tell Jerry all the time, like, dude, I love to party and it was fun. But I think about the time that I could have done with money, time, just dedication to anything else in my life, and it would have been better now. That would have been great. Like, I bought my camera during the time I loved to party. And if I would have really focused on what I was doing and I would have loved it, would have been a different story now,
Yeah, see, and like, those are mistakes that we need to make. I'm glad you figured that out early on instead of like partying. Because some people that I know, for those listening that know that I'm older than John, so I'm 33. You're what, 23? 23. So that's a 10-year difference. But there's people who are my age still they can't get out of that lifestyle. I'm like, bro, like, you need to figure out. Hold on, let me put this back to record.
Yeah, and we all know. Like, we can all see. Like, we all have that one friend or that. I know that person that like. You got like 6 kids at home.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's nothing. Like, on special occasions, friends invite me to go. Hey, like, we're gonna go to the bar and we're gonna do this. Cool, totally fine. Oh shit! But
For the record, he does have a social life, kind of.
Yeah, and like, like I go and hang out. It just my schedule is like so.
Well,
I try to keep it organized.
You're not gonna cancel on a paid client to go to the bar.
It's funny because I cancel on girls to go do like a paid client thing because me. I mean, I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. So I mean, here's the first, but before like I started like really focusing on myself and like the company and things I wanted to do, I would spend the majority of my time like trying to please the girl, you know, like be there whenever they wanted to go out and do stuff. I would always be like that dream boyfriend, right? But look, I ended up being single regardless. Yeah. So one day I was like, when the whole shift happened, it's weird how this shift happened, and I knew it needed to happen. And then I started focusing 100% on me. I started being selfish. I don't care. Like I was like, I'm gonna do things that I want to do when I want to do them. Yeah. And of course, you know, it sucks. You know, I feel bad for the people after that shift, just because I would cancel on people. I would cancel or just completely forget that we were supposed to do something. Yeah. And yeah, some people are pissed off at me because of it, but look where it's getting me. You know,
you have to sacrifice, and everything's sacrifice in life. Like if everything was so like dandy, like I said, like I don't think life would be life. Because then if you just been comfortable and you would have kept on doing what you were doing, then you know you just fall into a rut, and it's okay to like fail, like I said, but it's also cool to like just figure it out. And I feel like a lot of people figure it out later or sooner, and it is what it is. Like life's meant to be whatever life's meant to be. So like, sorry, if like I don't know, I want to like if I was myself hearing myself right now talking, just be like, oh, it's okay, you know, it's gonna work out on whatever you decide to do. And if you feel like you're not in the path that you think you should be, like put yourself in that situation to be in that path. If it's losing fear on doing like, I want to open that business. If it's like, I want to stop partying. I just want to focus on myself. I want to save that $1,000 I've been wanting to save. I want to go to the gym, like you said. I want to be more social. I want to get a girlfriend. I want to get a boyfriend. I want to, you know, if you're in that situation, it's like, it's okay, you know?
Yeah. And don't be afraid to, like, I know some people who went to like cosmetology school because they thought that's what they wanted to do. Yeah. But they ended up, it wasn't their thing, which is fine because now you know that's not for you. And now you know, okay, this is not for me. Let me find something else that I like, you know, because at the end of the day, the longer you wait, you can't buy time. Yeah, you lose money because you went and spent thousands of dollars doing the class, but you got that experience. You got to meet new people, obviously, and that you're gonna know for a long time. But then you get to realize, okay, that's not for me. Yeah. But what can also happen, because I tell this to people all the time. Originally, I wanted to be a YouTuber, like a shoe tuber. And look where it led.
Ross finds.
Yeah, like I would do the Ross finds, and then all of a sudden it led to now I barely even do YouTube, but the YouTube's coming back. Check it, seriously, like, it's coming back, but it's gonna be media related, not like shoe related, just because you know obviously Ross is dead. But you know what I mean? Like I thought this was my path, right? Like I thought, okay, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this work. But then all of a sudden, like it's the same path, but a slightly different exit.
Do you think and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, it's kind of scary to be what's the word?
Entrepreneur?
Not that, but being content with what you're doing in life, but it's not what you want to do. I want to like give an example, like my parents, like they're old. They're not old, but they're older. They're parent age, and like my dad loves to drive truck, but he's been working for the same people for who knows how long I can remember. Yeah, he has a good like life. He doesn't worry about anything. He just American dream. There you go. But I know deep down he wishes he would have his own truck and he would be his own boss. He could do whatever he wanted whenever he wanted. He didn't, you know, and he doesn't do it because of the stability of where he's at. He loves to drive truck, and that's the X factor. But the step to jump, to be his own boss at that age, he's like, why risk it if I'm doing good, you know? And then I think it's a comfort. He loves to do what he's doing, which is a different scenario when I said, but he doesn't want to risk what he already has. But I know he'd be happier being his own boss.
Yeah, I actually think my parents are the same way, just because they didn't have the right means to learn these other things like we do. Like and it's true, because our parents are obviously doing better than their parents were doing.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, when we're growing up, Hispanic parents will tell you, like, when I was growing up, I had to do this, this, and this, and this. And when you're younger, you're just like, whatever, you know. But then you realize when you're trying to become better, like how hard it is, like how, like, all the work that you have to put in. And some people are comfortable doing what they're doing because, of course, you know, the economics wouldn't work if people didn't work regular jobs, you know. But it's very difficult becoming an entrepreneur, and very scary. It's very stressful,
and it isn't for everybody.
Oh yeah,
that's not for everybody.
That's one point I was gonna make, because it's very stressful. It's very like time consuming, because it's never I'm only gonna go and work for 3 hours.
So it's funny. I think we've all seen this quote or post or somewhere. It's like, I quit my 9 to 5 to work less, and now I work 24/7.
Yeah,
and it is true.
But at the end of the day, like, this is why I want people to, like, yes, it's stressful. Yes, it's time consuming. Yes, you're always working, but it's like one of the most rewarding feelings when you actually put product out, like when you see your stuff, like, used in magazines, when you see it used, like, in, like, different areas, like different industries, and you're like, oh, that's cool, because that's mine, you know. And not just that, like, seeing something that started from absolutely nothing, and building into something where people recognize your logo, recognize your name, you know, and they're like, oh, hey, like, you do this, and which is really cool, especially like they're like, oh, you do that. I've heard, you know, your podcast.
I think that's the coolest part. Running into, like, I sound like a broken record, but Jerry's cousins in Utah, so shout out to you guys. They're like, oh yeah, I listened to this episode, and they'll name it by name. I'm like, that's so cool to me, because, like, I don't openly go up and I'm like, oh, hi, my name is John, professional co-host. But I don't know, it's just a cool thing. Like, even if nobody says anything, but that person next to you is like, oh, I know who this is.
Yeah, and of course, if you listen to the episodes or whatever the case may be, and you see us out, you come say hi.
Yeah,
like,
I'm nice.
It's well, I only look mean because of my eyebrows.
Edgar's not mean at all.
I'm like super nice and super talkative, you know. But I don't walk into somewhere being like, oh shit, everybody should know me here. Like, I do a pod. No, like, most of the time, like, these people have no idea who I am.
It's funny, Jerry. I think was it. I don't remember the first time she actually met you, but he's like, he's not cocky. Like, you don't come off with like I don't know, maybe you might come off with like a cocky aura to someone else, but she's like, he's not cocky and he's really, really nice. I'm like, but I didn't get it because I work with you, so like, I see how you are every day, and I'm like, huh, like, he's not weird in any way. Like, he's just cool. Like, you don't even, and he's like, he doesn't seem like older, you know? Yeah. Because we just said, like, it's huge age difference. But she's like, I felt like he was just like one of your regular friends. Like, it wasn't any weird. And I'm like, kind of funny because, like I said, I work with you every day, and it's. Yeah,
and I've heard that before. But the thing is, there's a difference between being cocky and confident. Yeah. Just because I like to think that I'm very confident. Like, confident, I mean, like, I don't care what I wear. So, like, if you don't like it, cool, whatever. Like, I'm good.
It's funny because we give you shit all the time for what you wear. But it's not like in a rude way. But it is, like you said, it people can translate it to whatever they want. But it's not like until you meet someone. Like,
I'm just a very confident person where, like, I know, like, if I actually put, like, me into whatever I'm doing, that I can make it work. You know, whether it be like, I'm like, oh shit, I like this outfit, and then I'll wear it with confidence, you know.
But it's because where we're at too. You know what I mean? If you were in LA, you look like the same person next to you. You know, everybody's doing something different. They want to stand out. Here, if you stand out, it's weird.
Yeah, and they're like, what is he wearing?
Yeah, and it's weird and it's sad, and we go back to the same thing. People care a lot what they think. So everybody tries to follow the same snake around. Like, everybody's behind that line. Everybody wants to be the same. Everybody wants to have the same thing as your neighbor. So when something stands out, people are like, they don't know what to do. But like I said, if you're in a different town, somewhere bigger like LA, you look the same as the next person over.
Yeah.
And it's weird when you don't look like, but we fall into the same thing. It's the same.
And a lot of people need to get, because that was the second part actually I wanted to talk about was confidence.
Yeah.
Just because I remember when I was like self-conscious about a lot of things. My scar, for example, a lot of people, I mean, if you listen to my episode, you know about my scar because I had a cleft palate where I have a cleft palate. And it left this scar on my, where my mustache should be. And there's like a little scar, obviously. And for the longest time while I'm growing up, if you would have, especially girls, if we would have been talking like this, I literally, for those listening, I'm putting my hand up to my mouth and like acting like I'm rubbing my nose, rubbing my mustache, or like going like this, just because I felt like the entire time we were talking, you were staring at my scar. And I was like so self-conscious about it. And then one day I was like, nobody cares, because people would be like, oh, you do have a scar? And they would like look, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even notice. I got that so much, and I was like, people aren't even noticing it, And then I slowly started realizing that people don't care what I wear, and things like that. As long as you, like I said, guys listening, as long as you clean up nice, as long as you like have good hygiene and a good personality, don't sit there and obviously don't go on a date and then make it super awkward, where to the point where you guys are just both sitting looking at each other on the phone. That would be like the weirdest thing ever.
And that comes with time too.
It
all correlates,
and it doesn't happen overnight. You have to build that confidence up.
Yeah.
For example, one way, because I didn't used to talk to people a lot like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I started doing in order to become a little bit more social, because I remember my cousin would ask me, he's like, how do you just talk to random people and actually have good conversations with them?
Start at the bar.
So I haven't done it lately, but for the longest time, for maybe like a year and a half, maybe 2, I would make sure I had a conversation with somebody new, whether it be like, every day, whether it would be like, oh, like, hey, like, if I saw something, oh, that's a cool North Face one. I was over in like Vegas, and I wanted to pick this one up, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember. And then slowly you get a small conversation, and then after that, like not making it weird, because I would talk to girls and guys. That way, it's not like they would think that I'm flirting with them or something like that. And then you just had a conversation, and then later on when you see them, they'll be like, hey, how's it going? Like random things like that. And so I made it a priority to talk to somebody at least. Just a small conversation, nothing crazy long.
It sounds super hard, because I was super shy. Like during high school, I didn't have confidence until like literally after high school. Like I hated I wouldn't even step a foot in the dance, because I just didn't want to be out. Like it was so weird. I just had zero confidence. But the minute you learn how to like don't care, and even if you're shy, it's so easy to go up to someone and start talking to me. As long as you're not weird, obviously. Like you don't come out in a weird way, but anybody that comes up to me and starts talking to me,
you can hold yourself.
Yeah,
you hold your
100%.
own.
Yeah, or even like going up to someone and talking to them, or like you said, relate something. It's so easy to kind of just go for it. But the thing is, you just kind of have to learn how to give that fear away, and it's just so easy. It's easier said than done for sure, but it's definitely something that the minute that you get over it, it makes life that much easier. And it just because it's so easy just to think.
John's running out of things to say because I'm changing the battery. I still haven't bought one of those dummy batteries yet for this camera that we use here.
Still working out the kinks for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, if you guys are looking to sponsor this podcast, go ahead and hit us up. We're looking for sponsors for the video side. We can put your product right here. Hold on, John.
Oh, right here.
Right here.
Or right here, maybe. Still right now.
But we're the plan is like for the new spot is to have like permanent cameras set up and things like that where we don't have to move. And then obviously you buy the dummy batteries that go inside of it. See, people don't see all this other stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I accidentally took all the tripods and stuff to the other place. And
yeah, because what was it for Kenneth? We had you had the ring light on a chair, top of the box, and top of the case.
And then we used my laptop as the camera. And then I was trying to hurry because Jesus was trying to hurry me through when Kenneth jumped on. And I forgot to click to record the entire conversation, so you only see Kenneth for the majority of the podcast. That was our bad. But these are learning experiences, and I could have been like, oh, I'm not going to upload that because obviously it was you're going to sit there and look at Kenneth for like an hour.
Or even this one, since it's just looking at both of us.
The other one we're going to have like, I'm thinking about getting some nice sofas and the background's going to be nice. But that's still to come because obviously it's just us. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we have some sort of big corporation behind us trying to push it. Hopefully Spotify buys us one day. That's the goal. That would be cool to get bought out by Spotify.
Then I'm rolling into a Lambo. We're doing inside like a Lambo or something. We'll just do the podcast inside.
He's gonna have his assistant come in for him and not even do the podcast.
He's like, don't worry, I got you. I got my assistant.
He told me what to say.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool though because
I think overall over all this, you have to get your mindset right. Mm-hmm. I think mindset is a huge thing that's gonna help your confidence. It's going to help your motivation, discipline. What
would be 3 things if whoever's still listening right now, probably in their car or working out or just like, whatever you're doing, what would be 3 tips you'd give someone if they want to be more confident? All this correlates. So the question is kind of open, but if they want to be more confident or they want to lose that fear opening something or they just want to do a little bit of change in their life, what would be 3 tips or 3?
I like how you bring that up. And it right away, instantly, I got a few tips. So one of them I tell you all the time is don't wait. Yeah. Don't wait. What I mean by that is like, say somebody's looking to work out, right? And they'll be like, oh, I'll go on Monday. And it's like Friday. Mm-hmm. Why don't you go that night? Or why don't you go the next day? Like, what are you waiting for Monday? Like, what's the difference between Saturday and Monday? Mm-hmm. Because I'll tell you what the difference is. Friday, you have that motivation. By Monday, you're not going to have that motivation. Whatever the case may be, because I know, like, if you want to start a business, you start researching, like, all sorts of stuff. Like, keep it going. Buy something. Buy the LLC. Whatever the case may be, do it that night, the next day. Do not wait for Monday because Monday never comes. What I mean by that is, like, Monday comes and you're like, it's Monday. You get lazy. Yep. A lot of people are lazy on Monday, and then they'll be like, "I'll do it tomorrow." And then before you know it, it's already Friday again, and you're like, "I'll wait until Monday." Yep. So that's a big thing: is do not wait. And the other one I had, it completely, put yourself out of your comfort zone. That's where my social, where I was able to talk to people. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very uncomfortable when I first started doing it. Don't get me wrong; I didn't go into it just being like, what's up, man? Like, how's it going? No, that's not how it worked. I was like, fuck. When I remember the first time, it was at the gas station over by ISU. Mm-hmm. It was the first. I was like, dude, I need to become more social, be more talkative, because I like to talk, but I'm too afraid to talk to people. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, maybe just have conversations with people, even if it's not super long. And it's funny because I went and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm like, it's just like, just trying to get through the day. I got some classes today and stuff. He's like, oh, you go right here. And then we had just a small conversation. And afterwards, he was super cool. So every time he saw me after that, he was like, hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah, people remember.
And and you were just like, that wasn't hard just by talking a little bit. And then I was like, okay, that wasn't bad. And then at this time, I was taking my generals over at ISU. The person next to me, I would be like, oh, dang, did you see this and this? I'd be like, oh, yeah. And and as soon as you break that, and then afterwards, it's funny because I would talk to this guy next to me, and I think it was my geology class. After that, we would talk all the time, you know? Now you knew that person.
Break the ice.
And so last thing, I know it's a little bit more difficult for girls, but if you have the chance, is to travel by yourself. And if you're a girl, make sure you go somewhere safe. Make sure you're protected. Carry a knife. Just speaking of a knife, here's my custom knife for you guys on just listening. Check it out on my Instagram or Spotify. Shout out to Leo, Craig, Jesus, Benny. There was a lot of hands involved in
he
this.
has to shout them all out because he got called out.
Yeah, because I got called out for not giving Jesus credit, but he helped me engrave it. Benny did the heat treating. He helped with my handles. Obviously, Leo played a major part in it because he's the one that like guided me through the whole thing, which is a very, very difficult person. And then Craig helped me make my leather sheath. I haven't took pictures.
That one's cool. He's doing really good on that, which is like it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, how hard do you think it is?
Oh, Leo makes it look easy. Maybe when people see us take pictures or do video, we probably make it look easy, but it's not easy. No. It's a lot harder than it looks, especially and editing. But I feel like it's the same way for him. Yeah. He's done it for so long that he makes it look easy, but it's not easy. Because I asked him how he did one thing. I remember I was like, "Oh, how do you know when to pull off?" And he's like, I don't know how to explain it. He's like, I just feel it, like he knows when. Yeah. And like, I get it, because sometimes like, oh, how do you compose a shot or how do you do this? It's like, I look and like, I see, it's really hard to explain. Yeah. Like you kind of like feel it. And so I totally get that. I totally understand that. But back to the point is traveling by yourself. And I'll give this example, which is good and bad. That's why I always tell people to protect yourself when you travel somewhere. I went to go see The Weeknd back in Arizona. I went to go see The Weeknd. It was just me, just because the reason I did start traveling by myself, not to knock my friends, because everyone has their own schedule, their own life. Sometimes just things don't align. And so I didn't want to wait. Like I was asking people if they wanted to go, and everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know." And finally, I was like, "You know what? Fuck this." I was like, "I'll go by myself. If they want to come, this is what I'm gonna go. This is the tickets I bought. Like, cool. If you want to go, let's roll. If not, I'm going by myself." And so now that you're traveling by yourself, it's either you're gonna have a boring time because you're not gonna socialize, you're not gonna talk to anybody, or if you put yourself out of your comfort zone, you're going to talk to people, you're going to meet new people. And so I was like, I need to put myself in that position, the uncomfortable position. And so another thing that I did is completely random. I booked a private room instead of usually I get the whole house. Yeah. Because I just want the whole place to myself. I want the privacy. But this time I was like, I'll get a private room. That way, whoever's there, I'll just talk with them. They can show me the local spots or tell me the local spots and things like that. And totally cool. So finally, I'm taking this trip. I started talking to it's weird how it works. I started talking to the lady that was at the airport. And we were all talking back and forth. She's telling me where I'm going. She was originally from Phoenix and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And she's like, where are you staying at? I'm like, oh, I'm staying in Phoenix. I was like, I'm just going to get a Uber to the Airbnb, because she asked if I rented a car. And she was like, that's going to be an expensive Uber. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, it's like 45 minutes away, like an hour, 45 minutes, like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck. Because I had rented a car, but I didn't get it till the next day. Yeah. And so I started looking on, I think it was Lyft or Uber, one of the two. And it was like $150 just to get over there. Just to get to your... Oh. And I was like, shit. So I was like, it's probably cheaper just to rent a car and then like just return it the next day. But everything was closed and I'm like, shit, now I'm going to have to pay for an Uber. And I was like, oh, well, thanks for letting me know. I literally thought it was in like the same area. Yeah. And she's like, oh, well, you're going to Phoenix, right? I'm like, yeah. I'll just give you a ride. Like... Totally cool. I'm like, are you sure? I was like, I can give you gas money and stuff like that. And she's like, no, it's fine. I was going to Phoenix anyways. And so like we went, she was talking to me about her family. She had a son that lived up here and she was out here visiting. That's why she was here. And then she dropped me off at this, like basically because I didn't want her to go too far off of where she had to go. I was like, oh, right here is fine. I was like, I'll just get an Uber from here to there. I could have just walked, but I didn't know where I was at. So she took me there. Cool. I remember that like the back of my head, and it's cool because if I were to see her again, it would be like a cool conversation. Hey, thank you for giving me a ride and things like that. And that was just because I went out of my way just to chat with this lady that was sitting. It wasn't next to me. She was actually across from me. What are the odds? Yeah. And all right. So now I'm in Phoenix, and people, I was there for a while because the way the flights work, because I went through Allegiant. The way the flights work, it only flights 2 days out of the week. So I actually had to be there a long time. I think it was there for like maybe a week. Yeah. And so every day I was like, I had to do something, you know. And it's cool because I got there that night, so I didn't meet the people who lived there. They just told me how to get in, which room it was. Cool. I got there, went to bed. Next day, obviously they weren't there. They went to work. I don't know what they went to go do. So I went out. Well, I went to go get my car, and then afterwards I was like, well, what do I do? Let me go to the mall. Went to the mall, and I met some people there. It's cool because I was just like talking to random people. And they're like, oh, where you from? Like, what do you do? And like telling them why I'm here, what I'm doing. And they're like, oh shit, well, you want us to like be guides or something? I'm like, that works.
Yeah.
And so they ended up taking me on this hike to this big ass rock. You know, we went to a hike up there. I got to meet some cool people out there. And then they took me to the zoo that was out there. It was fucking hot though. I'll tell you that right now. It was hot. And then even at the concert, I met some people.
Yeah.
I met some people there because I was obviously there by myself. And
You're like,
but when you're all there, which I realize that now that a lot of people go to these concerts by themselves because they want to go.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people want to go with them, or they
well,
don't
if
like
they
the
really
same type
want
of
to go
music.
see the person, they don't care who's going or not. Like,
Yeah, and so
go.
the only thing, this is why I say to protect yourself. So after the concert, for the people that have gone to an event, a concert or whatever, afterwards it's chaos.
Yeah.
You know, people getting taxis here, lives here, Uber's there. You're just trying to get back. So it was at the Talking Stick Arena, which is in Phoenix, and my Airbnb was literally like driving maybe 5-10 minutes away. But again, this concert ended very late. I think we were outside, and I was outside like just talking to people for a while, and then I got invited to go to some club. And I'm like, cool, I'm there. Let me go home and change because we were sweating. It was like I felt all sticky. So I'm like, I'm going to go home, change. I'll meet you there. Just send me the address and I'll get a lift there. Cool. But I was like looking at the lifts to get home because I was like, I just wanted to get back, change, and then just go. But they were like $80, $90. And at that time, I was like, man, just to go like literally a few blocks. I was like, I'll walk. You know, that's the mistake I made. So I started walking. And I'm just walking, and then all of a sudden, like, it's dark. Obviously, it's late. Not a lot of people on this road. And I'm just like, oh, that's weird how no one came down this road.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking, and then all of a sudden, like, I see some, like, people all the way up there. I didn't think anything of it. I'm still walking on the opposite side. Then I heard there was another guy on my side of the street. It was like 4 lanes down the middle. And he starts doing this whistle. And I've heard this whistle before. He was, like, kind of, like, notifying, you know, alerting the people on the other side, because as soon as he did that whistle, they all got up. There was like 5 or 6 of them. They all get up, and then like you can see them starting to cross the street. And I'm like, oh fuck, they're gonna jack my ass, or they're probably gonna press me for some reason, wondering why I'm walking down this street this late. So instantly, I'm like, I get on my phone. I'm like, look, Uber. I picked one. I think it was an XL because a big Suburban showed up. Whatever I could get, I booked it. And then the cool thing is you can call them. Like once you book it, you call them. So I see them walking towards me and I'm like freaking out. Like my heart's pumping. Like I'm freaking out. Like don't know what to do. I was like, should I run? Maybe what if they shoot me if I run? You know, like maybe they think I'm from a different gang or something. You know, like, something like that. All these things are going through my head. So I'm like trying to figure out like what I'm supposed to do. And I see you can call them. So I call him and I'm like, and I'm yelling at him just because I wanted them to hear me yelling at the Uber. I'm like, hey, where you at? Like yelling, I'm right in the corner. I've been waiting forever. What do you mean you're down the street? I'm right here. And the guy's like, sir, I'm on my way. Like, you know, like he's like, kind of like, dude, you just booked me, you know, like, but he didn't want to say that. And I'm yelling at him. And it wasn't, I don't want to yell on the podcast, but I was yelling at him. Yeah. Not because I was mad, more because I was scared that these guys were walking towards me. Because as soon as they heard me, they kind of like, you know, like kind of like stopped. Yeah. And so then finally the guy pulls up, I get in, and I'm like, I'm so sorry for yelling at you. I was like, and I told him the situation. He's like, first of all, what are you walking like down this area for? He's like, this is not the place you want to be walking. Oh man. And it was weird because it was only that little area, and I didn't know. So now I'll probably ask more questions, or if it's late, because I'm actually going to go to Phoenix again to go watch the weekend, you know, and I'm going by myself. So now that was a learning lesson, and it's a learning lesson that I want other people to hear. That way they're like, oh shit, maybe you should be just aware of your surroundings, of what's going on. Luckily enough, I was able to So Ed Calderon talks about this all the time. You know, some people, there's fight, freeze, or faint. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So what he means by that is like everyone's gonna react differently.
Yeah.
Someone could have been like, oh shit, like, and just like stood there and waited to see what happened. Yeah. You know, some people would have ran. But me, I was like, instantly, I was like, figure this shit out. You know, like I need to get out. Like I knew I needed to get out. And especially because I don't know why I was carrying so much cash. I had a lot of cash on me. And so I was like, oh shit, they're going to rob me. They're going to do all sorts of stuff. And, you know, that's why I was in a hurry. Yeah. Luckily enough, I was able to do that.
To get out of it.
Because when you get put in that situation, you don't know what's going to happen. So that's why I said, you know, protect yourself. But I highly recommend, just because I've gone there. I've gone to Texas several times. I've gone to California. I'm looking to go to Egypt, Colombia. And these are all trips by myself. And I've been to Boise, I've been to Utah, you name it. And it's some of the best experiences because another example, I know I'm talking a lot, sorry. Another example is when you go with a group of friends somewhere, we stay in our group of friends.
Yeah.
We don't socialize. We don't like go outside of our group of friends just because we're comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you go by yourself, you have to get uncomfortable real quick or you're going to have not a very good time.
Yeah, or you won't go anywhere.
You'll just be stuck in it's cool because you get to meet some of the coolest people you would have never met because you would have been with your group of friends and you would have just blown off everybody that like walks by and stuff like that. And weren't noticing things like that. And so that's why I recommend it. Some of the best experiences. And if you talk to people who travel by themselves a lot, they tell you all the time, you get one of the best experiences because it puts you out of your comfort zone.
If you're willing to.
It puts you out of your comfort zone because not a lot of people. If I was like, hey, you should go to New York by yourself and do what? I don't know. You'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah. You know, like a lot of people would.
Yeah.
But me, I'm more like, I'd rather live life without regrets. What I mean is like, what ifs? I always say what ifs. What if I would have messaged her? What if I would have like texted her? What if I would have done this? What if I would have done that? I don't want to be like, because right now, talk to an old person.
Oh, dude.
You talk to an old person, and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Trust me, time doesn't stop for anybody.
Yeah.
We're all going to be in that position. So you need to figure out what you want to do now and actually do it. Yes, of course, like I said, we all have a life, we have bills, but we can still, if we want it to happen, we can make it happen. If you want to go somewhere, go somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're younger and you don't have any like, what was it, like bills, they call it? Responsibilities.
Yeah.
If you don't have responsibilities, take advantage of this stuff, you know, like take advantage, take trips, go outside of your comfort zone just because to me.
Once you have them, it's a little harder.
Yeah, because you talk to old people, they'll tell you all their regrets. Yeah. If you talk to people who have kids, they'll blame it on their kids and mom life, dad life, parenthood.
Yep.
People will find a reason to blame it on something instead of being like, yeah, I have kids, but you know what? We can make it work. Yeah. Even if they're too small, ask the grandparents to watch them for like a week so you guys can go do something. You know, like always, you have to put yourself first. Yes, they're like, oh, I always put my kids first. Yes, I get that. But at the end of the day, you have to worry about your mental health. You have to worry about you. If you're in a good headspace, they're going to be in a good, you can help put them in a good headspace.
Mom and dad all miserable every day. They're bound to be miserable.
Yeah.
And see them in a good,
Yeah. So like, that's why I don't want to live with what ifs. So that's why I'm like, I'll travel by myself. I don't care. Yeah. You know? Or it's funny. I've messaged girls that some people probably wouldn't have because they would be like, oh, like, because
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd rather her tell me to piss off than to later on
know.
You know, because most of the time, you know, that's why, like I said, you have to have, at least be clean, because I'm not the best looking guy ever. As long as you have a good personality, clean up well, and like, you know, make them laugh here and there, and you know, just have that confidence. Like they'll probably, I've had some girls say like, yeah, let's hang out. I'm like, oh shit, like she said yeah, like she actually said yes, you know, like.
Or you see that you're like, he's ugly as hell. How the hell did he pull her?
Yeah. Exactly, bro. Like that's
the
why
most
I said, like,
confident guy will pull any girl, no matter what.
Some people were it's funny when you see someone who's not so attractive with a girl that's you're like, dang, how did he get her? Well, because he had the fucking balls to like actually put time and effort or like actually ask this person out, like
it's luck. But yeah, most time the confident guy will pull over anything.
So that's why that's my whole spiel. I hopefully people got motivated just off of that. Again, I'm not perfect. I still struggle with some things.
Yeah,
and I'm trying.
We all are.
Yeah, and like we all do. But I'm trying to like figure my situation out. But at the same time, I don't let fear or any of these things hold me back.
Yeah.
Because if I let fear hold me back, I wouldn't be at the new spot. If I let fear hold me back, we wouldn't be in this spot.
Yeah.
If I let fear hold me back, I would still be working.
If you would have done your what ifs.
So you have to think about like, this all takes time. This all happened over a period of time. It's not like it's like tomorrow I'm going to start this or tomorrow I'm going to be social.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if you're looking to start a business, do some research. Do some research what you got to do to open it. What are the costs? What are the costs of like a website? Say you're doing online. What are the costs of your inventory? Or what it takes to register as a business.
Yep.
Or like if you're looking to work out, look up a diet, look up a workout regimen, and start that day or start the next day.
When you're motivated. Yeah.
A lot of people wait, and waiting is just it's bad because you lose motivation, you lose a lot, just by waiting. Instead of most of the time the people like me, when I want to do something, I'll do it. Like I'm not like I remember John. He was like he's like, hey, don't worry, bro. I was like, I'll help you. But again, like life happens. I was like, nah, I want to do it right now.
Yeah.
And so I started doing it. That's just how I am, and that's how I've programmed my head to be. Because I've noticed if you wait, you start losing motivation.
Yes.
And that happens with everything. If you're super motivated one day, like say this podcast motivates you, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna start something. You better be on your phone right now researching like whatever it is that you want to start. I have a great example which makes me 100% like hell yeah, is Justin Barnes. He listens to the podcast all the time, and it's cool because I remember he messaged us and he was like, hey, I've been listening to the podcast. You guys have been like really motivating. I'm actually going to take the step and start a business. He's like, this is something I've been wanting to do, and I'm whenever somebody starts a business or something, I message them and be like, hey, you know what? Keep doing it. If it's something that I can utilize or gift to somebody, I try to buy whatever it is product that they have or service that they offer. Just because I know the struggle in the beginning to get people, but once they start slowly getting people, and then all of a sudden you get the ball rolling and you start feeling good. So what he did is he ended up doing knife and gun shows, just because obviously we don't all start out with a huge budget. And he wanted to, eventually have a brick and mortar. And so he started doing these knife shows. He would travel to them, pay to have a table set up, take all his stuff, be there all day. Or if it was like 2-3 days, he was there.
Yeah.
We met him over at, I met him over at Blade East. Super cool guy. He gave me a flashlight, and he was like, hey, I want to buy one of your shirts. Can you take it to me? And I gave it to him, because I gave him that, and he gave me a flashlight, which is super cool. Thanks, Justin. I still use it to this day. But he messaged me the other day, which is cool. And this happened over a little I think maybe like a year, a little bit over a year. He finally got a brick and mortar.
Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty cool.
It's not like a Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's not like something huge like that.
But it's something.
But it all started from an idea, and then he put in that work. That's the biggest thing, is that he put that work in, and now he has a brick and mortar, and like he has a physical location.
Which is, like you say, it's crazy when you moved into this. It's the same concept, same like idea. It's like that jump to that from the idea. Like yours could be like you had a camera and now it's this, It's
and that's the craziest thing. Like if you listen to my episode, I hate to bring it back to me, but I like to give examples, and that's the one that comes off to my top of my head. My old employer, I asked them for a raise after being with them for a long time, and they told me no, which I'm still grateful to this day that they told me, because after that, I got so mad in my head because I was like, I've been here for so long, and you guys don't want to give me a raise. Never given me a raise. I was like, you don't want to give me a raise? Yeah. I was like, I need to change my situation. No, I didn't quit. No, I didn't like be frustrated, or go look for a new job. I was like, I need to change my situation. Yeah, it was good money. Don't get me wrong. It was good money. But so then I really started focusing on media and stuff like that. And next thing you know, that's all I do now. Yeah. And of course, like I said, it took time and it doesn't happen overnight, but it can happen,
Definitely can.
And it can happen. It can help eliminate things that you don't like to do. Yeah. Because I remember at one time, I started a little phone accessory business, and I would replace screens and things like that. This is a cool example. I invested $300 into it, bought a bunch of equipment, would repair screens, and people would hit me up all the time, and I would do it at home. But in my head, I'm like, I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I don't want to be selling phone accessories. This is boring. And so I was just gonna stop. Yeah. Some lady hits me up. She was like, "Hey, look, I'm looking to start It was down in Salt Lake. She's like, I'm looking to start a phone accessory company. She's like, would you where do you get your stuff and things like that? And I didn't want to. I was just gonna tell her at the time. I was like, oh well, there's different vendors that you can go to. They all charge differently. I was like, but I'm not in contact. I was just saying that I'm not in contact with them anymore, just because I'm done. I'm gonna sell off all my stuff. And she was like, I'll buy it. You know what I mean? And she was like, I'll buy all your inventory, and most importantly, your contacts, because trust me, you think trying to find phone accessories is easy. It's not easy unless you order from China, and then from China you have to wait a long time. Yeah. And then sometimes you get it and it's not even for the right phone. So it was hard finding people who supplied it in the U.S. Obviously, they probably got it from China, but they order in huge bulks, and then I would place my orders, and then I found this place where I would get screens super cheap, and I was afraid that they were cheap. Yeah. So I ordered some just to replace my phone. And I started changing in colors, and people were like, how do you do that? What are you doing? How much do you charge? And so I slowly started doing that. And I sold her all the info. I don't want to say how much I sold it for, but let's just say I invested $300 and I ended up getting 5 figures back for that. So dang,
that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So it pays something. At least I tried, but I knew it's not something I wanted to do. And that one wasn't. It could have failed. I was thinking it was more of a failure, because I didn't like to do it. It was cool. I was getting sales. I was replacing screens. You name it.
But it money was coming in. To do. Yeah.
And I wasn't happy with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this. I don't want to be doing this because I don't like doing it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden that happened. And then from there I got into my next venture. And then slowly
until you find something that you do like.
Exactly. So that's why I always say always try something. You never know what you're gonna like. Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully this episode motivated you guys. Hopefully it motivated you, John. Yeah. I know you've been motivated lately a lot. Hopefully, and I always try to push them. Just because I know I'm not perfect. I have to push myself too. Yeah. One area where I'm trying to help him is because the work part, he's motivated. The gym life, he's not so motivated, and I told him, I was like, you need to be motivated even when I'm not there. Yeah. And so what I mean by that is I can't be there every day. Yeah. And also the days that Friday and Saturday and Sunday, he misses those days all the time just because, he gives me his excuses. But I tell him those days you also have to be motivated, because at the end of the day, you have to motivate yourself. Yeah. And because nobody's going to come and give you motivation. Yeah, we're still working on it. And you can't rely on other people for your motivation. Yeah. So, I'm still trying to work with John. Like I said, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But I know I can see the potential in it. He's lost a bunch of weight since he started going. And he just needs to keep that in his head, keep the ball rolling. So
we're working on it. But yeah, like you said, it's something we're not all perfect. So yeah, we all have to work on each other for sure.
And you guys, hopefully you guys, hold on. I want to, before we close it off, this thing also has I want to get a Sony for the podcast, just because that's
the nice part.
They don't have a limit on how long it records. This camera only records 30 minutes at a time.
So does Nikon.
So, I mean, hopefully we can switch that. But I want people to, like, if you listen to this episode, the whole thing through, thank you for listening to this episode for this long. But hopefully it motivated you to, or got you inspired to do something.
Yeah, took something out of it.
Take these examples that we give you, and just know it takes hard work and dedication and motivation, discipline, you name it. It takes all that after your 9 to 5. Don't just go and quit your job and be like, oh, I'm going to do this. No.
It's just like going to school and studying afterward.
You have to put in that work, use your 9 to 5 as a means to an end, whatever the case may be. That way you can at least, even if it's not start your own business, work in the area you want to work.
Something you want to do.
Yeah, somewhere where you're going to have fun. Somewhere where you're not going to feel like you're work.
Or you enjoy what you do.
Yeah, because I never feel like I work. Even though we do work, don't get me wrong, we do work. But, it's not like we're just like sitting around. No, we enjoy doing media, so we enjoy it. We have fun with it. But hopefully it motivates you guys to go out and get up and do something. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message us. Like I said, our link tree is linked down below. It has my social media, it has his social media, and it has the podcast social media. Yeah. So, let us know. And, if, like I said, if you guys see us in public, in public, come say what's up. Like, be like, hey, I checked out this episode. Because we love to hear that maybe this episode you really enjoyed, or this episode really hit you, because I've had people say, this episode I listened to it and I actually started crying because like the story that was in it, the content, so, and it's really cool because you're like, I'm glad I was able to not only showcase their story and have people hear it who also inspires people. You know what I mean? That's why I was like, I'm super proud of Justin to where he's gotten, because, and I'm glad that he's been able to take just whatever we put out. I know it's not everything. It's bits and pieces here. Yeah. And he was able to, because at the end of the day, we can only say so much. It's what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what you do. That's where it's going to get you where you want to go. That being said, thank you guys for listening. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next one. So, see you guys.
Peace.
Yo mandándole de gusto ver una coqueta. Yo mandándole de gusto ver una coqueta. Dime cómo suena la pobreza. Tú siempre fuiste la coqueta. Dime lo que tú quieres.